Hip-hop just entered its darkest era. 50 Cent didn't just drop a documentary, he detonated a nuclear weapon that's still burning through the industry. Diddy's rotting in a federal prison. Netflix is on fire with 75 million views. And Jay-Z, the billionaire untouchable, he just got tagged. One Instagram like, that's all it took, and now the entire music world is asking the same terrifying question. Is Sean Carter next on the chopping block? Because what's unfolding right now isn't just celebrity gossip. This is a calculated takedown, a public execution, and nobody is safe anymore. Everybody assumed they understood what happened with Diddy. Bad boy mogul, white party legend, business titan. Then some lawsuits, then an arrest. Standard celebrity scandal, right? The kind that fades after a few news cycles? That was the narrative everyone repeated, but December 2nd, 2025 changed everything. 50 Cent unleashed Sean Combs' The Reckoning on Netflix, and it wasn't a documentary. It was a 4-part televised assassination that refused to stop trending. It beat Stranger Things. It dominated 47 countries. It racked up over 2.3 billion social media impressions. And while Sean Combs sits in FCI Fort Dix serving 50 brutal months, the real explosion isn't happening inside that prison. It's happening outside, on Instagram, in comment sections, in the terrified silence of every celebrity who ever shook Diddy's hand. Because 50 Cent just shifted his aim. And the new target? He's worth $1 billion and thought he was bulletproof. Let me break down exactly what happened, because this is where everything starts spiraling out of control. Days ago, 50 Cent uploads another post to Instagram. It's a photo, shady, mocking, and it's Jay-Z's face staring back at millions of followers. The caption? "Y'all really need to stop sending me this stuff." The sarcasm is radioactive. The comments ignite instantly. Thousands of people flooding in with theories, accusations, demands. Then someone drops the comment that changes everything. He's next, isn't he? And 50 Cent, Curtis Jackson, the man who turned pettiness into an empire, does the most dangerous thing possible in 2026 culture. He likes it. Publicly, on record, for everyone to see. Within hours, the internet detonates. Hashtag 50 Cent Next Doc starts ripping through Twitter, TikTok, YouTube like a digital wildfire. A YouTube channel tracks down the original commenter. They confirm, yes, he did. I was surprised as well. But here's where it gets even crazier. Fans online turned into full-blown investigators. They started pulling timelines, cross-referencing dates, and they noticed something that felt too calculated to be coincidence. Diddy documentary release? December 2nd, 2025. Jay-Z's birthday? December 4th, 2024. 2 days apart. The internet's verdict came swift and brutal. 50 Cent didn't just release a documentary, he sent a birthday death threat to a reputation, a gift-wrapped public execution timed to perfection. No official announcement, no trailer, no confirmation from Netflix or G-Unit Films. Just one sarcastic caption, one strategic like, and suddenly the entire world assumes Jay-Z is officially on the chopping block. The numbers that prove this isn't normal. Let's talk about what The Reckoning actually accomplished, because these aren't just good numbers, these are predatory numbers. 75+ million views in 8 weeks. That's not a documentary, that's a cultural event. It crushed Stranger Things 5 like it was a warm-up act. It held the #1 documentary spot in 47 countries. Over 2.3 billion social media impressions. A non-stop storm of theories, think pieces, and outright character assassinations. Netflix reportedly gained 4.2 million new subscriptions in December 2025 alone. Estimated value? Over $50 million in subscriber revenue directly tied to this project. 50 Cent's G-Unit film and TV deal got extended, more projects greenlit, a violent new gang wars documentary series already in production. His media empire balloons. His net worth circles $400 million. He turned revenge into a business model, and it's working. But the real explosion didn't come from Netflix metrics or subscriber counts. It came from what the documentary actually showed. The footage nobody was supposed to see, the testimonies that turned stomachs, the connections that made people realize this wasn't just about Diddy. This was about an entire era, an entire system, and everyone who benefited from it. Now, let's get into the motive, because this is where everything starts clicking into place. Curtis Jackson didn't wake up one day and decide to destroy Diddy's legacy for fun. This has been building for decades, layers upon layers of beef, disrespect, and strategic positioning. Think about it. 50 Cent built his entire career on two things: survival and revenge. He got shot 9 times and turned it into a platinum album. He feuded with Ja Rule and ended his career. He went after Rick Ross and exposed him as a former corrections officer. He trolled Floyd Mayweather about not being able to read. This man doesn't just win battles, he erases people from relevance. And Diddy? They've had tension for years. Subtle shots, industry whispers, competing for power, influence, and respect. But 50 never had the nuclear option. Until now. Because what changed? Evidence. Lawsuits. A criminal conviction. Suddenly, 50 Cent didn't need to prove anything. He just needed to amplify what was already there. And Netflix gave him the platform to do it on a global scale. But here's the part that makes this even more calculated. Curtis Jackson didn't frame this entire project as journalism, as accountability, as giving victims a voice. He positioned himself as the guy willing to say what everyone else was too scared to say. The guy who wasn't controlled by industry politics or friendship loyalty. And it worked, because legally, he's covered. Morally, he looks like the hero. Financially, he's cashing in. And strategically, he's now the most dangerous man in hip-hop media. Because if he can do this to Diddy, a mogul with decades of power, wealth, and connections, then who's really safe? Diddy's collapse from untouchable to inmate. Meanwhile, Sean Diddy Combs is locked in FCI Fort Dix, New Jersey, far from the mansions, far from the white parties, far from the empire he spent 30 years building, convicted on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, hit with 50 months in federal prison and a $500,000 fine. The sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy? Acquitted. But the damage? Irreversible. Reports say he's teaching classes inside, doing great work to keep his record clean, trying to maintain some version of dignity while the outside world picks apart every piece of his legacy. And that's exactly what The Reckoning does. It doesn't just report on Diddy's crimes, it dissects his entire life. It shows footage from just days before his 2024 arrest, him plotting legal strategy like a man who believes he's untouchable, scheduling speaking gigs, acting like acquittal is guaranteed. Then the documentary shows his visible emotional collapse when he realizes what's coming, the moment it hits him that the empire is crumbling, that the armor he spent decades building is worthless. His team screamed that the footage was stolen. Netflix shrugged and called it legally obtained. 50 Cent basically laughed, "You're a journalist, right? You don't reveal your sources, so why would I?" This isn't journalism. This is a televised public stripping, a humiliation ritual broadcast to 75 million people. The Tupac and Biggie shadow. Then comes episode 2, the one that detonates old wounds and sparks new conspiracies. The documentary doesn't carefully revisit the East Coast versus West Coast war. It drags Diddy's name back into the bloodbath. It doesn't need to charge him, it just needs to ask the questions, plant the seeds, let the audience connect the dots. Former Bad Boy co-founder Kirk Burrows appears on camera. He suggests Diddy manipulated the rivalry between Tupac and Biggie like chess pieces. The edit digs into why Who Shot Ya dropped right after Tupac was shot. Timelines and circumstantial hints point Diddy's shadow toward both murders. Netflix slaps on a legal disclaimer like a bulletproof vest. Sean Carter has not been charged or implicated by law enforcement in the deaths of Tupac or Biggie. Legally safe, publicly devastating. The court of law said nothing. The court of public opinion screams, "We know what this is." And that's the genius of what 50 Cent did. He doesn't need proof, he just needs suspicion. Because in 2026, suspicion is enough to destroy a legacy. But here's the part that really hits different. The part that makes this documentary feel less like entertainment and more like evidence. The victims. Aubrey O'Day, former Danity Kane member, becomes one of the documentary's most disturbing voices. She describes being out of it, partially unclothed, assaulted. And then she says something that stops you cold. Does this mean I was raped? Is that what this means? I don't even know if I was raped, and I don't want to know. That's not just a testimony, that's trauma. That's someone realizing in real time, on camera, that what happened to them was worse than they allowed themselves to acknowledge. She reveals sexually explicit emails from Diddy while he was her boss, claims she was fired after refusing to participate sexually. And the way she tells it, you can hear the weight, the years of carrying it, the confusion, the shame. Then, Clayton Howard, a male sex worker, takes things even darker. He talks about multi-day freak-offs, allegedly involving Diddy and Cassie, heavy drugs, orchestrated and filmed encounters. Cassie allegedly coerced into participating. This isn't gossip. This is organized destruction documented on camera. And it all lands on top of 120-plus civil lawsuits against Diddy. Cassie's 2023 lawsuit accusing rape, abuse, and forced freak-offs settled within 24 hours. A 2016 hotel assault video surfacing later that makes Diddy's denial impossible. Him publicly apologizing for the video after years of silence. For viewers worldwide, this isn't content. It's an organized destruction of a myth. The myth of the untouchable mogul. The myth that power protects you. The myth that money can bury anything. The jury that wasn't at peace. 2 jurors from Diddy's 2025 trial break their silence for the cameras, and what they say is chilling. Juror 75 coldly states, "If you don't like something, you completely get out. You can't have it both ways. Have the luxury and then complain about it? I don't think so." That's victim blaming wrapped in legal reasoning. Juror 160 confesses, "When we came to an agreement and we're only saying that he's guilty for these 2 counts, my words exactly were, 'Oh shit.'" Translation: they weren't at peace. They were cornered by the system, by evidence, by lack of it. Legally, Diddy walks away guilty only on prostitution-related counts. Emotionally, the world watches and thinks he got away with something. And that's the atmosphere 50 Cent created. A documentary that makes you feel like justice wasn't fully served, that more is hidden, that more people are complicit. Which brings us back to the billion-dollar question. If Diddy was doing all this for decades, who knew? Who helped? Who stayed silent? On paper, Jay-Z is winning. Let's be clear about that. Legally, Sean Carter is walking away clean. December 2024, an anonymous Jane Doe files a lawsuit claiming she was raped at 13 by Jay-Z and Diddy in 2000. The accusation is explosive. The media runs with it. The internet erupts. February 2025, she drops the lawsuit. No explanation, no settlement announcement, just gone. March 2025, Jay-Z retaliates with a defamation lawsuit. He claims she was manipulated into lying, that there was a conspiracy to extort him. Audio surfaces of Jane Doe allegedly being coached by lawyers. The case starts looking shaky. January 17, 2026, a California judge awards Jay-Z $119,000 in legal fees after dismissing a separate paternity suit. Another win. On the court record, Jay-Z walks away cleared, with cash in hand, with his legal team looking like assassins. But in the eyes of the culture, the accusation existed. The document was filed. The internet never forgets. And now add the context, the decades-long closeness with Diddy, the fact that Diddy openly said Jay-Z is the only person besides his mother allowed to call him Sean. 20-plus years of mutual support, parties, brunches, business deals. Silence from both men when scandals began to swell around Diddy. No public statements, no distancing, just quiet. The question that refuses to die: if Diddy was doing all this, what did Jay-Z know, and when did he know it? There is zero evidence that Jay-Z took part in or knew about Diddy's alleged crimes. None. But 50 Cent's Instagram antics and trolling posts keep dragging him back into the line of fire, by association. And in 2026, association alone can be career-threatening. While Diddy sits in prison, an entire generation of celebrities is reportedly in full-blown erasure mode. Multiple sources claim stars who attended his iconic white parties in the 2000s are hiring crisis PR teams. Old photos are being scrubbed with surgical precision. Connections to both Diddy and Jay-Z are being quietly erased. Names like Leonardo DiCaprio, Justin Bieber, and more go eerily silent. No comments, no statements, nothing. Nobody has been charged for attending anything, but in 2026, optics are lethal. One old photo equals years of suspicion. One tagged post equals permanent association. The message from Hollywood is clear. If we pretend we were never there, maybe the internet won't come for us. But the internet doesn't forget, and 50 Cent knows that. Which is why every Instagram post feels like a chess move, every like feels like a threat, every caption feels like a countdown. Adding gasoline to this inferno, Nicki Minaj. For years, she's been publicly ripping into Jay-Z and Roc Nation, painting them as the unseen hand controlling the industry, the puppet masters pulling strings behind every Grammy, every chart position, every media narrative. Her claims? Jay-Z pulls Grammy strings. Roc Nation blackballs anyone who doesn't bend the knee. The media is paid attack dogs and bodyguards for chosen favorites. And the proof her fans latch onto, the timeline. 2023, Jay-Z blasts the Recording Academy for never giving Beyoncé Album of the Year, calls it wrong, calls it disrespectful. 2024, Beyoncé wins Album of the Year for Renaissance. The timeline looks like cause and effect. Complain, then conquer. Then come the grimmer theories. Megan Thee Stallion, managed by Roc Nation. Tory Lanez gets 10 years for the shooting incident. Conspiracy theorists swear Roc Nation pressured prosecutors for a harsh sentence to make an example. No documents, no whistleblowers, nothing proven. But to the internet, the storyline is too perfect to ignore. Roc Nation pulls the strings. Cross them and your career, or freedom, disappears. Nicki's message to 50 Cent is brutally clear. If you're really about exposing power, Jay-Z is the final boss. So when 50 Cent likes a comment saying he's next, it doesn't feel like a joke to her fanbase. It feels like step one of a public execution. The silent cosigns and deleted photos. Meanwhile, the legends stay quiet. Eminem, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, all eerily silent about Diddy's downfall and the documentary. Snoop quietly deletes old Diddy pics. Fat Joe publicly defends Diddy, then backtracks when the blowback hits. The silence feels less like ignorance and more like people protecting themselves. Because nobody wants to be the next name trending. Nobody wants to be the next target. Nobody wants 50 Cent digging through their past and turning it into a Netflix series. The future witnesses people are waiting for? Names keep circulating online. Former Roc Nation staffers, artists who claim they were shelved or blackballed after disputes, people tied to events where Diddy and Jay-Z were together during the wildest eras. All speculation, no doc announced, no charges against Jay-Z. But the anticipation of scandal alone is feeding an entire ecosystem of content, outrage, and fear. What we're seeing here is the collapse of an entire era's protection system. For decades, the hip-hop elite thrived behind one simple line: "I'm minding my business." That era is dead. Now, every party photo, every old collaboration, every Instagram follow, every business partnership is being replayed as potential evidence. Silence isn't protection anymore. It's suspicion. 50 Cent framed it best and most violently. If someone's not saying something, then you would assume that everybody in hip-hop is okay with what's going on. That's the new standard. Speak up or be complicit. Distance yourself or be associated. Delete your past or have it weaponized against you. The bigger conversation is about power, accountability, and the internet's role as judge, jury, and executioner. When you constantly build your image on wealth, excess, and untouchability, you're not just creating a brand, you're creating a target. And when the fall comes, it's not just legal consequences, it's cultural erasure. It's your name becoming a punchline. It's your legacy being ring-written in real time by millions of people who never met you but feel like they know everything about you. Diddy's situation is a wild example, but it's also a warning for anybody with fame, power, and skeletons. The more you flex, the more you flaunt, the more you act untouchable, the bigger the target on your back. The media shield conspiracy. Fans have noticed something. Whenever Jay-Z is under fire, a wave of glowing articles appears, praising his business genius, his philanthropy, his icon status. Conspiracy talk spreads. Somebody hits a button at Roc Nation, and suddenly every outlet runs PR-friendly Jay-Z content like clockwork. Is it coordination? Is it just good PR? Or is it proof of the kind of media control Nicki Minaj has been screaming about for years? Nobody knows for sure, but the pattern is there, and patterns breed suspicion. So where does this go from here? Let's talk scenarios. Scenario 1. The Jay-Z doc actually happens. Estimated 60% chance. The pieces are already on the board. 50's Instagram like, a 20-year beef, the insane success of the Diddy documentary, Netflix's hunger for blood-soaked, high-engagement content. What could push it into production? New lawsuits targeting Jay-Z, fresh accusers or whistleblowers, more leaked audio or footage tied to prior allegations, other major artists like Nicki going on record with stories or receipts. The result? A project that doesn't need criminal charges, only rumors, optics, and old footage to reframe his entire legacy. Scenario 2. It was all a troll. Estimated 30% chance. Also very possible. 50 Cent knows the line between defamation and domination. He keeps Jay-Z as a punchline, not a central target. The leg was a bait to keep his name trending while he cooks up something else. He gets more attention. 0 new lawsuits, plenty of headlines. Scenario 3. A power broker's doc, estimated 10% chance. The safe middle ground. 50 makes a wider doc about powerful hip-hop moguls. Jay-Z appears, but not as the sole villain. The project calls out systems, not one man. 50 still claims he exposed the industry without inviting a legal nuclear war. In every scenario, Jay-Z remains under a microscope, not because of convictions, there are none, but because 2026 culture treats closeness, silence, and power as evidence in itself. The real bottom line: what's undeniable as of January 2026? Diddy is in prison. Over 120 lawsuits still stalk his name. The Cassie case and the hotel assault video have permanently damaged any innocent narrative. 50 Cent's documentary has become a weaponized cultural event, not a simple film. Jay-Z is legally cleared in his most serious public allegation and has even won money, but the internet has placed him on permanent watchlist status. An Instagram like was enough to make millions believe a Jay-Z doc is inevitable. Nobody is safe anymore. The hip-hop empire is burning, and 50 Cent is holding the torch. Is he an avenger, a troll, a business predator? Maybe all three, but one thing is certain. He's rewriting the rules. He's turned revenge, scandal, and accountability into a multi-million-dollar media empire. And as long as Sean Combs' The Reckoning keeps choking the #1 spot on Netflix, one question is going to keep terrorizing Jay-Z's mentions. Is 50 Cent done with one Sean, or is the other Sean next on the chopping block? Stay locked in, because this story is about to get even crazier. More details dropping, more clues surfacing. Reports say 50's already in talks with Netflix for another explosive project. So drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Jay-Z is actually next? And do you think 50 Cent is exposing the truth, or just cashing in on chaos? Make sure you like the video, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single update, because we're covering every twist that comes out. I appreciate you for rocking with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe out there, and remember, in 2026, silence isn't protection, it's suspicion.